Yo,
Hello.
what's up, Grace?
Nothing much. Lots going on in the world and at Kapwing, but
Lots
it's
going on in
good.
the
It's
world.
good. How are you
Hey,
doing, Jack?
everyone. Hey, I'm good. I'm good. I'm happy to be here with you yet again.
Yes.
Another day, another week, another lovely
Oh yeah.
show. Always something new happening in the creator world. Glad that we can get through it together. Hey,
Oh yeah.
everyone. Um, Put in the chat where you're from in the physical realm because today we're going to be talking about uh, leaving the physical realm and going to the metaverse. Where are you guys from?
Ooh.
I'm sitting here in New York. What about you, Grace?
I am in the Bay Area, on the East Bay, actually, not San Francisco.
Nice.
Ooh,
We got
someone's
someone
from
from
Texas.
Texas.
Woo!
Shout out.
Hello, everyone.
Shout
I
out,
love how
Texas.
someone at the very start of our comments already said, "You mean Meta?" We
Yeah,
do mean Meta, I
we
guess,
do
but
mean meta.
but
Um,
the metaverse is more than meta too.
It
So
is. We'll get into that today. So yes, if you have watched our show before, you know what's going on. If not, this is what's going on, a weekly live show that discusses news that affects you, the creator. We are your hosts, Grace and Jack. And today we're going to be talking about what's going on with the metaverse and whether or not it can really be successful in the future. By the end of the show, we hope to have a better idea of what this means for all internet users and how you can prepare for taking your life into the metaverse or not. We'll see.
we will.
Disclaimer, not experts on the topic, but we're hoping to learn and discuss with you guys. So be sure to put your opinions and questions in the chat. Before we jump in, make sure to subscribe and click the bell so you never miss one of our live shows ever again. And so you can keep up with news that affects you. Grace, what is going
Yeah.
on this week?
So I feel like a lot has been going on with things related to the metaverse. A lot of it has been related to Meta itself.
Yeah.
They recently published a 8,000 word article about what is the metaverse, because I think after their news a few months ago, everyone's been like, okay, like you're talking about this metaverse, you're rebranding your whole company to Meta. What is this? Like, what are you envisioning? So that was an interesting read. They also opened a store on Facebook's campus, their first physical store, trying to show off different AR and VR products they're making. Google is also previewed their AR glasses, and they don't want you to call it Google Glass, so don't say that. But they're making glasses now, supposedly. Lots of things. Here's some of the
There's
titles
a
of these
lot of
articles.
news. Yeah, here's some of the news. Obviously, it all starts kind of going back to when Facebook renamed itself to Meta. I feel like that was the very beginning. Well, the metaverse, the idea of the metaverse is long before that ever happened, and they sort of just appropriated it. I don't even know what to say, but
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of recent news. More than that too. The metaverse is more than just Meta too. Like the Bored Ape Yacht Club, if you know them, they're the biggest NFT project. They just raised almost $300 million for their metaverse. So everyone's going after this. Microsoft just acquired or is going to acquire Blizzard Activision, which is one of the biggest gaming companies ever. So everyone's trying to get in to the metaverse. So it's a hot topic. We need to keep up with it because this could change everything for the way we experience the internet or not. We'll see. But yeah, it's a really interesting thing. So I think it's important to discuss first, what is a metaverse? I think this is a interesting topic, and it can be very vague, and it can oftentimes, I feel really difficult to succinctly say what a metaverse is or even what it's supposed to be, because I feel like it's somewhat of a hypothetical right now. So yeah, Grace, what do you think a metaverse is?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's also hard because it's an ambiguous term that was coined in a book called Snow Crash decades ago. So it's by no means new as a concept, but I think what it actually looks like in reality when we build that is the main question that like determines like, you know, that's why what we're confused about, or like, what does it actually look like? You know, we can imagine it, but I think it was originally meant to be like a 3D virtual realm that you feel like you're in and you can interact with others. But like some other people think that it's more just about like being in a virtual space and you don't have to physically like feel like you're there. It doesn't have to be 3D, which then kind of begs the question, like, is everything a metaverse? Like is Club Penguin a metaverse, or like Minecraft is a metaverse, or like is Discord a metaverse? Like you feel like you're in a space with people chatting and talking and interacting. Like what is a metaverse then? I think there's this, the commonality is like being in a space with others interacting is what I'm gathering.
Yeah, totally. I think how I like to imagine it or put it for someone who's like very, very basic level of understanding, which by the way, I have a pretty very basic level of understanding. So this is how I tell myself what it's going to be is, it's more of like a experimental, or not experimental. Well, it is, I guess, but experiential communication to me. So, you know, right now in what I guess we call Web 2, most of our communication is, you know, texting or calling or FaceTime, which it doesn't have, like sort of a tangible or like 3D component. So I feel like a phone call in the metaverse would like have like a 3D rendering of the person you're talking to, or like something like that. I don't know if that's exactly true, but that's sort of how my mind envisions it. I think it's interesting to look at, if we want to look at the little preview of the metaverse that like Meta animated when they announced they were making their name change. I think we should just play that real quick and we can discuss that.
You gotta see it. If you haven't seen it before, this is a must see.
Let's put it up.
All right, perfect.
Boy.
Oh, hey, Mark. Hey, what's going on?
Hey, Mark. Hi. What's up, Mark?
Whoa, we're floating in space? Who made this place? It's awesome.
Right? It's from a crater I met in LA.
This place is amazing.
Boz, that you?
Of course it's me. You know I had to be the robot, man.
I thought I was supposed to be the robot.
Whoa.
I knew you were bluffing.
Hey, wait. Where is Naomi?
Let's call her.
Naomi.
Hey, should we deal you in?
Hey. Sorry, I'm running late, but you've got to see what we're checking out. There's an artist going around Soho hiding AR pieces for people to find.
3D street art? That's cool.
Send that link over so we can all look at it. Ooh, this is stunning.
Okay, that is something.
That's awesome.
Wow. I love the movement.
Wait,
Okay, I feel like that's enough.
That is enough.
I've had enough.
Stop it.
But yeah, I think it's a really interesting look at sort of what they envision the metaverse to be like, which even though it's clearly like animated, and I don't believe that that's actually what even Meta thinks it's going to look like, they're sort of just teasing your mind. Yeah, it has components of socialization, like art, sending
potential for
things,
like
co-working.
Right.
It's like
that's what they want.
Every mode. That's what they want.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know, maybe I'm a little bit of a negative Nancy, but I'm a little unsure if the metaverse will be that successful.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Grace?
I think it's interesting. Like, it's cool to see the applications they're trying to paint in this kind of like promo video, but I mean, the like, I think in the article that they recently released of like what is the metaverse, they talk about how it's not going to be one metaverse. Like, it's not like there's one place that you go and it's the metaverse. It's like there's a bunch of different experiences, and all of it together collectively is the metaverse. It's like kind of a layer on top of our physical world that you can like jump into whatever you want and interact with other people in this space. But I just think it's interesting that they're trying to like push these certain use cases, mostly like the socializing and like working together, whereas some other, like Google with their glasses, like I think that application doesn't feel as necessary for me in some ways, because I mean, we all experienced it through the pandemic. I feel like where a lot of things were remote, it just like I don't think you can replace physical human interaction, like seeing a person face to face in the real world. And I don't know like if people want to have their interactions be so digital like that. I think it's interesting that Google's glasses, the AR glasses that they recently announced, their marketing and like everything is geared towards like this use case of translating languages, which is like a very like specific thing, but it's very different from just like, oh, you could like see random things through your glasses and play games, and it's like very applicable to like things people need now, which I appreciate.
Right. Yeah, I guess the question is, I like what you said about, I like human interaction, like nothing's ever going to replace that. I think the thing that could make the metaverse successful is if it can like bolster that human interaction. So including maybe translating language in real time, but also even things like, now that we are in sort of a more remote world, maybe being able to, have more immersive calls, or, how amazing would it be if you and I from across the country could have like a 3D rendering of each other when we're talking.
Right.
It could be really interesting, and sort of feel more, I don't know, maybe that would help people feel more close to each other and like in the online space.
Right.
But I guess I do worry I just always worry about the kids, right? Or I'm like the kids growing up in the metaverse, like if you have this world all around you, like I'm worried about some of the cons of the metaverse would be like addiction and not wanting to leave the metaverse. I don't know.
Right.
Seems like a little scary, sort of like how people are addicted to like TikTok right now. I could imagine if TikTok was 3D. I don't even know how that would work, but then like it might make people even less social, which I would be scared of.
It's like you feel like you're being social, but like, is it the same? It's probably not affecting your brain and like your mental health and just like in the same ways as just socializing in real life. And I think that's part of it too, is like with all this like technology is constantly developing and we don't know the effects of it, basically, right? Like we can hypothesize and have our like things that we think will happen, but it's still just like completely unknown. I also think I always come back to like, I think success for the metaverse and like this concept that Meta is trying to push to us is kind of like, will people use it? Will it be adopted? It will become widespread, because I think only if it becomes widespread, like if you go into the metaverse and no one else is there, then like what's the point, right? Like they need, in the same way that like social media and social networks, you need like some critical mass to make it worth your time to be engage in there. So I think like until they have to get people physically in there for it to be a success. And I don't know like what that level of critical mass would be. Like, is 10 people that you can interact with in the metaverse enough? Maybe for one sitting, but is that enough to like keep you coming back? Who knows? Yeah. So
Well, and I think it's also hard. I think something that one of our commenters, Megan, sort of, and she's a coworker. Shout out.
Megan.
That she mentioned sort of is that there isn't the technology right now that like maybe we would need. Like I think it's all hypothetical, and the problem that I'm sort of thinking is like it can't be widely adopted if people don't have the technology needed. So like AR and VR, unless it's incredibly cheap, you're not going to probably be able to onboard most of the world, right? You'd have to use a phone pretty much. And then it begs the question of like, well, then what's the difference of what we have now? I think that's a good question. is whether
I
or
think
not
it is.
people will get into it. I'm not sure.
Right. I think it's also worrying because, yeah, it is another technology that like you have to buy right now, at least. Like you need a headset to access this like world. They're not cheap. And most of the world, like a lot of the world, there's places where they don't even have like running water, like shelters, like, and not even internet. So like, how are you, is this something that will just make the technological divide across the world greater? Like, and I know in that article, Meta was like, oh, this could provide more educational opportunities and like break down these barriers of technology. And it's like, well, in the article, they're kind of like, well, have you ever heard of like books or like, like the internet? Like you don't need to physically be like, you're there to break those divides.
I sort of flip-flop between both camps, right? Like I agree, like, yeah, a book is great, but like some people, if you don't have a great education, it might be hard to read. And we've seen with kids during the pandemic, not being in the classroom actually has like halted learning. Even when you try and do it on a screen, it makes it hard. So like if you could theoretically get them in an experiential classroom remotely, like maybe that would have solved that problem. But so I do think there is something to experiential media and learning and being somewhere. But I do think, there's a lot of cons. And going off that, I think we'll also see, like, I think you're right to question the sort of classist issue of whether or not this will divide the internet even more between like different classes, economic classes, because not only the headset thing, but also, so let's say Meta's going for a metaverse, but there's a lot of other metaverses going. And the big question is whether or not you want a metaverse that's centralized or decentralized, right? Meta is a very centralized one. It's one company controls it. The benefit of that is that it's probably relatively cheap to get on, relatively cheap to use. But, what you're sort of selling is your information about your behavior, about who you are. You're seeing ads. They're taking, revenue rewards if you're selling something on a metaverse, versus decentralized metaverses, which are harder to build, firstly, because there's not like one group sort of making it. And it could be much more expensive to get in because people still have to make money, like people who are building it. And so instead of it being really cheap because they're advertising to you or selling your info, it would probably be a much steeper cost to get in. For instance, the Bored Ape Yacht Club metaverse right now, to get a plot of land in their metaverse is like minimum $6,000, right? So like, so I can sort of see that being the issue is, do you want to like sort of give all this power to a centralized company or try and use another metaverse that might cost you more? I don't know. But definitely classism issues there.
It definitely scares me to think like, because you're in this virtual world that everything is pretty much owned by a company, like everything will be an ad, or it could be, not necessarily that they will make that, like, but everything could be an ad. Everything is like a product that you're going to buy. Like, even if you're just walking down the street in the metaverse, like everything could be like showing ads everywhere. That's just like, I don't know if that would be a good experience. And I guess that's like part of it. It's like balancing that, but it seems a little weird and scary in my eyes.
It's a lot of power to give one company. It's sort of like, what people say is the metaverse is a large part of Web3, right? That's a buzzword, is Web3. But if we give all of this power to one entity and Web3 is owned mostly by one entity, that's scary. Like, we would never want the internet to be owned by one entity. Although I guess, Google's pretty good at that, but it's all up in the air, and we'll have to see what happens ultimately. Who knows?
I think another thing that we've seen in like, some of these science fiction books that may not be so much fiction anymore, like Ready Player One, is what happens to the physical like world that we're in if everything is geared towards the metaverse, or if people live and want to spend more of their lives in something like the metaverse, will the rest of the physical world just like crumble, basically? I think we started seeing that with Wall-E, even the movie, where they're like, you sit in their chair, you have your screen, you're just constantly in that like world. You don't have a headset on, but I guess this was kind of like the Web 2 version of the metaverse or something. But they're like just sitting in front of screens all the time. The whole rest of the world has like been destroyed, or like climate change happened or something. And yeah, I don't know. There could be so much incentive to just be in this virtual world where you can do whatever and feel invincible and like everything is perfect in a way that you just never want to leave. And I don't know, that's kind of scary as well for me.
It is scary, but then it also even makes you think like, well, what if people's lives could be better in the metaverse than in real life? Like if they're in a living in squalor and like need an escape, that's it's all really interesting. I don't know. I like what Adam has said. I hope Kapwing can be in the metaverse. we will
That would
see.
be interesting. We should buy some land in the metaverse.
Yeah, Kapwing land. Yeah, ultimately I think all in all, once again, this is a really intangible thing right now. We'll just have to sort of see what happens. I am I guess you could call me skeptical of the metaverse and if it will be so successful, because ultimately it has to bring benefit, right, for it to be successful. So if it does, then I'm sure we'll get on it, and if it ends up sort of not helping us at all and not entertaining us and being good for our lives, then we probably won't use it. That's what I think.
Right. Unless it's so addictive that even if it's bad for your life, you just keep doing it because
but then
like
theoretically there would be a benefit, right? That's pleasure. I truly question whether or not it will actually bring more pleasure than like regular gaming, regular phone calls, regular working environment. So and real life, right? I don't know. So
big questions.
We will just have to see. Grace, I think I've wrapped up my thoughts. How about you?
Yeah, no, I think I feel like I've said my thoughts too.
Said my piece.
I think I'm wary. I think my last thing that I will say, I think, is like humanity is constantly trying to push for new technologies and like see if we can do it. And I don't think we should just try to do it to see if we can do it, like we should be thinking about the consequences and like, is this something we even want before we create some kind of monster that we can't take back later? Maybe that's like a pessimistic vision of the future, but I think there's just been so many books and movies and like even times in the past where it's like we created something that we wanted to see if we could do, we did, and then it's like, oh wait, we actually don't want this anymore, or like it's having a lot of negative effects that like, I mean,
nuclear
social media
weapons
is just a huge example of that, parts of it. So
yeah, there's always risk, right?
Right. But time will tell, as always. I feel like I say that every time.
Well, and it is the truth. That's why we say it. All right, everyone. Well, thank you guys so much for watching What's Going On. We will see you guys next week, every Friday, unless one of us is sick. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon so you don't miss our live shows going forward, and to keep up with the trends and content we make on our YouTube channel. And we will see you guys in the next one.
All right, everyone. See ya.
Later.